This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
The time right now is 4:27. It is Tuesday morning. Thanks for starting your day with us here on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Meredith Barrick. We begin with the newest coronavirus case numbers here in the state of Indiana. 533 new cases, which makes the total cases in Indiana surpass 40,000. Right now we are at 40,430 with 11 new deaths.
We are looking at the positivity rate, and if there's a chance for any spike here in the state of Indiana, we know there's a spike in several other states, mostly to our west. So we'll be breaking that down for you and have more coming up on what those numbers mean here on Good Morning Indiana. Another story that we have for you today, this one has to do with the city of Indianapolis and police reform. We've been following these protests and these cries for change within the police departments. So Mayor Joe Hogsett announced yesterday during a press conference that the city of Indianapolis is partnering up with New York University for a study on public policy and public safety, kind of criminal justice reform, and they're going to be taking a look at what works, what doesn't work, and it'll be part of the study that's going to help shape police reform here in the Circle City. We'll have more details on that coming up on Good Morning Indiana.
Meteorologist Todd Clausen is standing by now. And Todd, temps are about 10 to 15 degrees warmer than they were at this time yesterday. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, you know, we are dealing with temperatures right now sitting in the 50s and 60s across the area. It's a comfortable morning, though. The humidity is still low. And as we go throughout the day, it's going to turn into a terrific Tuesday, at least weather-wise. The temperatures, they'll be back up into the 80s later on this afternoon. But we are also still dealing with low humidity. That is not going to come up throughout the day today. So we'll be able to enjoy this nice weather here going forward. 59 in Bloomington, 58 in Kokomo right now with those mostly sunny skies. Our high temperature gets up to 82 degrees. So once again, it's a good opportunity for you to get outside and do some things outdoors because once we get towards the tail end of the week, the humidity will come up a bit, but the temperatures really start to come up as highs will eventually be topping off in the low 90s, I think, by the time we get to Friday.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Another big story we're following for you today is a national story, but we're going to be taking also local looks at what this means. There's a landmark ruling by the Supreme Court yesterday with protections for LGBTQ workers, keeping them from being fired from their jobs due to their status. So this is one big step, a lot of supporters are saying, but they are also saying that more needs to be done. So we're going to be looking at how that impacts laws and business here in the state of Indiana and what is going to happen as we move forward. We'll have that story plus news, weather, and traffic coming right up here on Good Morning Indiana.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 4:30 amid protests, Mayor Joe Hogsett announcing Indianapolis's next move toward public safety reform. How a new partnership will address the changes being called for in our city.
Steps are also being made on Capitol Hill. A look at the executive order President Trump is expected to sign today.
And basketball season is ready to tip off for both the NBA and WNBA. How the Indiana Fever and Indy native George Hill are reacting to getting back to the game. 4:30 here on your Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Lauren Casey. We have Todd Clausen standing by from home this morning. Todd, good morning to you. What can we expect as folks head out the door this morning?
You know, it's another beautiful morning. It's not quite as cool as it was yesterday morning, and the humidity is still low. And we'll see these temperatures warm very quickly once again throughout the day today with lots of sunshine. We're sitting in the 50s and 60s here this morning. 64 in Indy, 59 in Bloomington, Bedford at 58 degrees, as is Tipton and the Peru area. The skies are clear, and here's a live look from downtown to the north, and you can see the visibility, not an issue for us here this morning. And the satellite radar picture, the way it's been here through the past couple days, not showing much of anything. We'll expand out, and you do notice some clouds up near the Minneapolis area, and then we have some rain down to our southeast. The rain is not going to make its way into our area here throughout the day today. 77 degrees already by the noon hour with our high temperature and low humidity later on this afternoon. Lauren, topping off right around 82 degrees.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic. This is I-465 near I-74 Crawfordsville Road on the west side. You can see traffic there is quiet, no delays to slow you down, so that is great news. Let's take one more live look from our INDOT traffic camera. This one is south of the downtown area, I-65 at Keystone Avenue, through that ongoing construction project. A big lane shift there in the northbound side. On the right side of your screen, left side is restricted down to 2 lanes. Exit ramps remain open in that area, and this is an active construction zone, so use caution throughout the daytime as you head through this area.
Anyone paying attention knows this is a defining moment in our city and in our nation's history.
After weeks of protests, Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett says the city is taking new steps to reform public safety in Marion County. In a virtual press conference, Hogsett announced a new partnership between Indianapolis and the New York University School of Law. NYU will create a study of the city using data and community input about the criminal justice system. It also includes looking deeper into issues that contribute to racial disparities like health, education, and housing. Jessica Louise of Indy 10 Black Lives Matter says she's optimistic about the plan. She says she hopes it will also create a new type of policing where sending a police officer isn't the default response to a call for help.
Minneapolis, who was at the epicenter of the George Floyd incident, they've already begun that process, and they've already started the process of saying, hey, we need community members who are trained, informed, and well aware of what's going on to respond to these crises so that we can start to rely less on police who have a higher chance of responding with excessive force when called to the scene.
The mayor also announced the city will be reviewing the action and response from IMPD during the protests and riots that happened over the past few weeks. He says that review is independent of those by IMPD and the prosecutor's office. Change is also set to be made by President Trump. He is set to sign an executive order over police reform today.
Meanwhile, outrage continues in Atlanta overnight over the killing of another black man, Rayshard Brooks. ABC's Alex Perche has the latest now from Washington.
This morning, we're hearing the 911 call that led up to the fatal shooting of Rayshard Brooks in a Wendy's parking lot.
He's in the middle of my drive-thru, ma'am. Does he appear to have any weapons from where you can see him? No, I think he's intoxicated.
The rest of that night caught on surveillance and police body camera footage.
You're going to get tased! You're going to get tased!
But this is the moment that's going to be scrutinized. As Brooks is running away, you see him reach back and point that stun gun that he wrestled away from officers at Garrett Rolfe. That's when investigators say Rolfe fires 3 shots. Brooks later died at the hospital. Protests in Atlanta over the shooting raged again overnight.
The only way to heal some of these wounds is through a conviction and a drastic change with the police department.
The city fired Officer Rolfe on Saturday. This morning, we're learning this wasn't his first incident with a gun. His personnel file shows he was reprimanded in 2017 for use of a firearm. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms announcing Atlanta officers will now be required to use de-escalation methods before turning to deadly force. They'll also be required to intervene if they see a colleague using beyond reasonable force. President Trump responded to the Brooks shooting yesterday.
I thought it was a terrible situation.
He's now expected to sign an executive order focused on police reforms later today. That order will include incentivizing police agencies across the country to adopt best practices on use of force, share information about officers' misconduct, and respond to nonviolent calls with the help of social workers.
This is about law and order, but it's about justice also, and it's about safety.
Now, this executive order will not push for outright bans on certain behavior like chokeholds or no-knock warrants. It also will not roll back any protections given to officers under qualified immunity. Alex Perche, ABC News, Washington.
It is 4:35, 4 days after being arrested, an Indiana state representative immediately resigning from the legislature. Dan Forrestall says that he made the decision to focus on his mental health. This is you saw a booking photo, and this is a video from last year related to the charges filed against Forrestall back in August. Impersonation of a public servant, resisting law enforcement, and operating a vehicle while intoxicated. Police arrested him last week on preliminary charges of battery on a public safety official, resisting law enforcement, and disorderly conduct. Forrestall released a statement saying, in part, quote, "We need to work together to shatter the stigma around mental health issues in the state of Indiana and address them with the same treatment and philosophy as physical health issues," end quote. He represented House District 100 and already announced in February he would not seek re-election.
Now to the latest on the COVID-19 pandemic here in Indiana. The state has now surpassed 40,000 cases since the outbreak began. The Indiana State Department of Health says 533 new cases of the virus have been confirmed. That is the highest daily amount of cases reported in roughly 2 weeks. 11 new deaths were also reported, increasing the death toll to 2,251. More than 355,000 Hoosiers have been tested for the virus so far.
The Idle-Jorg Museum of American Indians and Western Art says it will be back in business soon. The museum says it will be the first to reopen to members on June 20th, and then it's going to be open to the public on June 27th. Visitors will be required to wear face masks, and they'll be given a temperature check. Under recent state restrictions, the Idle-Jorg and other museums will only allow 50% capacity. Visitors are also encouraged to order their tickets online on the museum's website.
Big news for the Indiana Fever. The WNBA announced a plan to tip off the 2020 season. All teams will head to Disney World in Florida to play 2 games, followed by traditional playoffs. Those games will be held without fans, but they will be live streamed at no cost. Specifics on the schedule have not been announced, but the teams will report to Florida in July. General manager and former star player for the Fever, Tamika Catchings, says the team is excited to play and is ready to compete.
Former Indiana Pacers player and Indiana's own George Hill helped to kick off a new beginning for Him by Her. That stands for Helping Improve Mankind by Healing Every Race. The foundation launched its new collegiate school for the arts on the Near East Side, all part of the campaign to raise some $10 million. The foundation offers a combination of social and health services with a goal of addressing racial and economic disparities and healing. Sports director Dave First caught up with George yesterday to talk about this program and his thoughts on the NBA resuming games.
It's called the Him by Her Collegiate School for the Arts. George Hill, a former Pacer, now Milwaukee Buck, is one of the partners in this. Is a really cool idea. Grand opening today. How'd it go?
It went pretty good. You know, like you said, it was the grand opening today, the ribbon ceremony, to open these doors, just to be a part of someone. You know, the Dunn family, Harry and his wife, Michelle, have done a tremendous job laying the groundwork and the footwork to this, to be a part of them and their vision. And my vision is something that's remarkable for this inner city and something that's much needed.
K through 2nd grade, marginalized families need a boost. It's free for the kids, though. You get them here, they're good to go, right?
Free for the kids. The only price they have to do is wake up in the morning and bring their kids to school. So that's not too much to ask. We're asking you to make that contribution effort, and we'll take care of the rest.
Basketball, we'd love to see you guys playing basketball. A lot going on in the world. I know you were part of the very peaceful march yesterday here downtown.
My biggest thing is I'm a human first. Coach Jordan from Butler, the head coach, said it best. He said, before I'm a coach, I'm a father. Before I'm a coach, I'm a husband. And that's the same for me. Before I'm a player, I'm a man. There's so much in this world that's going on that's negative to be worried about a basketball game. So I'm a firm believer of that. You know, players may think differently, but if they're ready to throw this ball up in the air, my competitive side will kick right in. But I know there's more to life that we need to focus on than playing a ball.
There are some that would say that you guys getting back to basketball and playing might amplify the opportunity for you guys to talk about this.
I think playing personally, and this is just my opinion, getting back to basketball just puts a Band-Aid on it. It pushes it off to the side to leave us to talk about it another day.
Kick the can down the street.
I think it needs to be talked about now. I think there's action that needs to be put in right now. It's not put in after basketball season. It has to come before that.
And again, it's called the Him by Her Collegiate School for the Arts. Enrollment now until the fall. Come check it out.
Dave, thank you. The FDA is taking back its emergency approval of one of the government's most touted drugs for COVID-19. Coming up, why they are revoking the use of hydroxychloroquine.
And researchers say the stay-at-home orders are improving people's sleep. How they say sleeping habits have changed for the better during this pandemic. Todd.
And Lauren, another comfortable day for us with lots of sunshine and humidity levels that will remain very low. But on our muggy meter as we go forward in this forecast to tomorrow and beyond, You notice the humidity starts creeping up during the daytime hours. So enjoy today. We'll talk about not only the humidity climbing, but the temperatures climbing as well coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now is 4:41. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.
Airing Hoosiers only on RTV6.
Two drugs being used to treat COVID-19 no longer have the FDA's approval. The Food and Drug Administration decided to pull its emergency use authorization for hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine. The FDA's chief scientist says it is just not likely that they're effective and possible benefits don't outweigh the risks. Hydroxychloroquine was the drug President Trump frequently touted and even claimed to have used himself. Scientists say their decision to use it in the first place was based on their evidence at the time. The World Health Organization says it is still reviewing the drug.
The pandemic has added extra stress to our lives, but they say it's improving our sleep. Speak for yourself. Well, research from the University of Colorado Boulder and the University of Washington looked at how stay-at-home orders and social distancing guidelines have impacted college students' sleeping habits. They found on average that students have been sleeping 30 more minutes per weekday and 24 more minutes per weekend day. They also have been keeping more consistent sleep schedules. So the big question now is whether these habits will continue now that some of those stay-at-home orders have been lifted.
One of the things that we recognize is that when people who weren't getting enough sleep start to actually get better sleep, and because they can, and they realize, wow, that makes a difference in my life, a number of people choose behaviorally to go ahead and continue to get that better sleep.
A negative result of the stay-at-home orders on sleep is that people have been going to bed later, both during the week and on weekends. Researchers say it will probably be healthier for us if we could start going to bed a little bit earlier now.
Sign me up.
Right?
Multiple Houston Texans and Dallas Cowboys football players have recently tested positive for COVID-19, and that includes running back Ezekiel Elliott. According to the NFL's website, none of the players were in the team's facilities and both followed proper health protocols. Elliott's agent says the running back is, quote, feeling good. Denver Bronco Von Miller and LA Rams center Brian Allen tested positive in April. New Orleans Saints head coach Sean Payton also diagnosed with the virus earlier this year.
Well, you can soon expect a knock on the door if you still haven't filled out your census. The Census Bureau says workers will start going door to door again beginning next month. The Bureau suspended in-person visits when the coronavirus pandemic began. The deadline to people to respond was also moved from the end of July to the end of October. So far, about 60% of households have responded to the census, mostly online or through the mail. The time right now is 4:46. Let's get a check of our Tuesday forecast. Todd Clausen is standing by. Hey, Todd.
Yeah, good morning, Lauren. If you liked yesterday, you're going to like today. The only real difference is temperatures this morning running a little bit warmer than they were at this time yesterday. But the end result is going to be very similar to our Monday with lots of sunshine and low humidity across the area. Take a look at our temperature trend here. The yellow line, you see, that's the average high, and that is 82 degrees going forward. And you notice we're going to slowly start to creep above that line. And by the time we get to the end of the week, we're talking about high temperatures that are going to be approaching the 90-degree mark. But this morning we're in the 50s and 60s, 59 in Bloomington, 58 is the current temperature up in Peru. Indianapolis at 64 degrees. And you notice as we slide down to the south, 58 in Columbus, as well as Bedford and Greensburg at 57. So again, it's a very, very comfortable morning with skies that are clear all across the area. Your satellite radar picture doesn't show you anything locally. And as we expand out, there's not a whole lot going on across much of the Midwest. You do notice some showers off to our southwest and North Carolina trying to back in this direction, but they're not really going to be all that successful. So we'll continue to have nothing but sunshine in the forecast throughout the day today, with just a few fair weather clouds building in as we work our way into the afternoon hours. Very similar to what we saw yesterday, just a nice comfortable light breeze out there as well. And hour by hour, this is how it breaks down. And all you have to focus on is the temperatures. 77 degrees by the noon hour. Temperatures eventually climbing up into the low 80s as we head into the 4 and 5 o'clock hour. This evening, if you have planned, sunset, that is at 9:15. It'll cool off once the sun starts to set from the 80s, eventually down into the 70s as we work our way throughout the evening hours. Then overnight tonight, temperatures are dropping down into the 50s and 60s once again across the area. So tomorrow morning starts off very similar to this morning, but the difference is tomorrow it's going to be a touch warmer. The humidity doesn't really come up a whole lot throughout the day tomorrow, but the temperatures do come up a couple degrees, and with that added degree or two on the thermometer, we're going to see skies become partly cloudy throughout the day. But the big change in the forecast arrives at the end of the week as the heat builds in on Friday and Saturday, but then also on Saturday, there could be a spot storm in the forecast. Better storm chances, though, will enter the forecast on Sunday and Monday. So it's been a really, really dry stretch of weather. It will continue to be dry throughout the work week, and then we'll start to get into those scattered storm chances. And if you do have weekend plans at this point, do not cancel them because of the storm chances. Again, it's very spotty on Saturday. Could be a few more around on Sunday, but neither day is going to be a complete washout. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads. Here's a look in the downtown area, I-65 and I-70 at the south split. You can see traffic is moving along smoothly. We still have that closure in the eastbound lanes of I-70 between the west side all the way over here to the south split, so keep that in mind. That's scheduled to last through June 28th. Let's take one more live look right now from our INDOT traffic camera over on the west side, I-465 and West 21st Street. Traffic here is quiet. Everything's traveling smoothly.
Hiring Hoosiers is our commitment to make you aware of job opportunities of all kinds. Auto insurance company Geico is hiring 165 customer service and sales representatives at its Indianapolis office over the next 2 months. Right now, Geico's 1,400 Indianapolis employees are working from home, so all interviewing, hiring, onboarding, and training will be done virtually. New hires will also work remotely until the company transitions back to its offices. You can find a link to apply in this story on hiringhoosiers.com.
It is 4:50. First Lady Melania Trump is asking for children's help with an art project that celebrates the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote. For the project, children between the grades 3 and 12 are asked to submit drawings about the suffrage movement. The 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote, was ratified on August 18th, 1920. One piece will be selected from each of the 50 states and U.S. territories to be displayed at the White House for an exhibit this summer.
Burger King is expanding its menu for vegetarians with this new breakfast sandwich. The Impossible Croissant, which is officially going to be sold nationwide. It consists of a plant-based sausage substitute made by Impossible Foods and is served on a croissant with eggs and melted American cheese. The chain is also giving away 100,000 croissant sandwiches to promote the launch on the Burger King app. Otherwise, its retail price is $3.99.
Sounds very fancy. All right, well, one man in Michigan is getting tons of calls on his birthday, and many from people he doesn't even know. So we're going to show you the epic prank his friends surprised him with just after the break.
And coming up, a landmark ruling is protecting members of the LGBT community. New at 5, what this means for millions of Americans and why some in Indiana say more needs to still be done. It's 4:51. We'll be right back.
Everything that you need. No charge at all.
Welcome back. This is a live look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads on this Tuesday. I-65 and I-70 at the south split downtown. Traffic here is traveling up to speed, and if you look closely on the left side of your screen, you can see that construction equipment. We still have construction going on in the eastbound lanes of I-70 heading into the south split, so that area is closed. We'll continue to keep you updated on any other areas to avoid for your morning commute.
For a man in Michigan, his birthday has become an annual opportunity for his friends to pull major pranks. Greg Johnson is getting bombarded with happy birthday messages for the second year in a row. His friends pulled the prank last year by buying a billboard and putting Johnson's phone number on it. It included funny photos and asked drivers to give him a call and wish him well. So to top that, his friends got his car dealership involved. The business called Greg saying they needed to take a look at his car, but when he picked it up, it looked like this.
We got my face in the Brady Bunch form, my phone number, my childhood picture. It's all over. I actually forget that I have it on there while I'm driving until I look over and see people laughing at me. So.
I think I may opt to take an Uber if that happened to me. Johnson says his phone has been blowing up ever since. So how long is he going to drive around like that, you think, Todd?
I don't know, but I was in Michigan this weekend visiting some family, and I did not see him, but definitely sticks out, that's for sure. Meredith, his friends, they get him every time. All right, outside right now. No pranks in this forecast for you here the next couple days. As we go throughout the course of the next couple days, temperatures will be in the 80s, eventually into the 90s, though, for Friday and Saturday. Saturday is also when we bring back the chance of some scattered storms into the forecast. The humidity comes up as we get into the 90s as well. We'll dive more into this forecast forecast coming up in the next hour of Good Morning Indiana. Stay with us. We're back in just a few minutes.